Snee Farm is part of the Charles Pinckney National Historic Site, located in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, outside Charleston. The site consists of 28 acres, surrounded by modern housing developments on the east, south, and west sides and undeveloped land on the north. The site is actually the 28-acre remnant of Charles Pinckney's original 18th century 715-acre plantation. Pinckney spent his childhood splitting time between the Snee Farm country home and the family's downtown Charleston residence. And he inherited Snee Farm in 1782 and continued to grow rice and indigo on the plantation using an enslaved workforce. Snee Farm was sold in 1817 and had a number of subsequent owners, one of whom built a new coastal cottage-style house on the site of the Pinckney home around 1828. The current Snee Farm residence was constructed at the original farmhouse site, and it's architecturally significant because it is a surviving example of this 19th century vernacular coastal cottage style, which is a popular building found in South Carolina's rural lowcountry. The farmhouse is 1.5 stories and thought to be in a similar style to the original Pinckney farmhouse, and it has a Georgian plan. What do I mean by that? It has a symmetrical facade and 5 bay entrances on the front facade, so 4 windows, 1 doorway, which is very typical. Inside, there are 4 rooms off of a center stair hall, and the wide center hall is bisected by an arched entryway, both front and rear. The front parlors, south and southeast rooms, have doorways directly across from each other on the hall, and both have fireplaces to the center of the north wall. So this is very typical of your Georgian plan, with the rooms on a central hall and then the two chimneys, the 2 fireplaces. The house was enlarged in 1936 with 2 added wings that match the symmetry of the house and mirror the 1828 construction materials. One is used as a kitchen, and the other as a master bedroom and bath. The farmhouse is currently also the National Park Visitor Center, administrative offices, and museum exhibit space. In addition to its original floor plan, the house also retains interior molding, paneling, and other decorative details that are original to the 1828 construction, including the aforementioned archway in the center hall, several hand-carved fireplaces, which you can see here on the lower left. And these are documented both in terms of the measured drawings as well as the detailed photographs that show the interior of the house. The present main entrance to the house faces north along Long Point Road. The original faced south towards US Highway 17, which was known as Kings Highway. The road is not visible from the house in large measure because of this long alley or driveway up to the house, which is familiar to us as a very typical feature of these 19th century plantations. And you'll see on the small map on the right, if you can see it, I've circled the area of the long driveway leading up to the house. In the early 1970s, all but 28-acre core of the original Snee Farm was sold for housing development and a golf course, which you'll see if you ever try to Google Snee Farm, the first thing that will come up is the golf course. Snee Farm was listed in the National Register of Historic Places in 1973 and also designated as a National Historic Landmark that same year. Later, a developer purchased the last 28-acre remnant in 1986, and then it was purchased by the National Park Service in 1988, at which point it became a National Historic Site. Congress established Charles Pinckney National Historic Site in 1988, and the site interprets both Pinckney's life, the life of Snee Farm's free and enslaved inhabitants, and the early history of the United States. With the 1828 house as a backdrop, and because no physical structures from the Pinckney ownership of the property remain, the National Park Service emphasizes discoveries from archaeological investigations that tangibly connect the Pinckneys to Snee Farm and provide evidence of the cultural environment that influenced Pinckney and the first decades of the United States as a young nation, as well as life on the plantation. It's also interesting that in more recent years, the lives of Snee Farm's enslaved population have also been actively researched and reconstructed, not only through archaeological evidence, but also through surviving historical documents. And it is this later area, including Annette Toinette Jackson's work, which you've read for this week, which established the site as part of the Gullah Geechee National Heritage Area. And so which means that they're documenting not only historical evidence, here circled a list of slaves owned by the Pinckney family, but also cultural traditions as well. And this shows, interestingly, how a site can change its significance based on the kind of documentation and research that's done there.